Power can disappear overnight. One day, a ruler sits on a throne, surrounded by guards, gold, and loyal voices. The next day, that same person may be locked behind a door, listening to footsteps in a hallway, unsure if those steps bring food, news, or judgment. History shows this pattern again and again. Kings, queens, and nobles often believed their power would protect them forever. But when revolutions came, when crowds turned, or when armies switched sides, those beliefs collapsed in an instant. What followed was not always loud or violent. Instead, it was quiet. Silent rooms, locked doors, long days filled with waiting. This is the hidden story of royal prisoners after they were overthrown. The fall from the throne was usually sudden. Many rulers were arrested inside their own palaces, places that once symbolized safety and control. Guards who once bowed now gave orders. Servants who once whispered praise now avoided eye contact. Some rulers were taken from their beds in the middle of the night, still wearing sleep clothes instead of royal robes. Others were summoned for meetings that quietly turned into arrests. Often they were promised safety or fairness. But once the doors closed, those promises meant very little. The first moments of captivity were designed to destroy identity. Crowns were removed. Rings and medals were taken away. Fine clothing was replaced with plain dress. Titles were ignored. Former rulers were searched and treated like ordinary prisoners. This was done on purpose. A ruler without symbols of power was easier to control. A king without a crown was no longer a king. A queen without ceremony was simply another captive. One of the most painful realizations came quickly. The people holding power were often the same people who once served them. Soldiers who once protected the throne now guarded prison doors. Officials who once asked for approval now delivered commands. This sudden shift shattered any remaining sense of authority. Loyalty, once believed to be strong, vanished almost overnight, leaving confusion and fear behind. Life in royal captivity was often quiet, not brutal. Many royal prisoners were kept in castles, old palaces, or remote estates. These places looked peaceful from the outside, but inside they felt empty and cold. Rooms were large but lifeless. Fires were small. Meals were simple and repetitive. Silence filled the air. Days passed slowly, marked only by footsteps in hallways or the sound of keys turning in locks. Isolation became the most powerful weapon used against fallen rulers. Many were kept alone for weeks, months, or even years. Letters were blocked. Visitors were denied. News from the outside world stopped completely. Without clocks or calendars, time lost meaning. Prisoners no longer knew what day it was or how long they had been held. Morning and night blurred together. This isolation damaged the mind. Humans need connection, and when it is taken away, fear grows stronger. Former rulers began to replay their past decisions over and over. They wondered who betrayed them first. They questioned every choice they had made while in power. The silence made thoughts louder. The lack of answers became its own form of punishment. Public shame was another common tool. Some royal prisoners were not hidden away. Instead, they were shown to the public. Former kings and queens were forced to appear without royal clothing, sometimes marched through streets or displayed before crowds. People stared, some whispered, some laughed. The goal was not physical harm, it was humiliation. By showing a fallen ruler powerless, new leaders proved their control. The image of authority was broken in front of everyone. The public was meant to see that the old ruler was no longer special. That shame followed prisoners long after they were returned to isolation, living in their memory even when no one else was watching. Even when hidden, royal prisoners remained dangerous symbols. New governments feared the idea of a living ruler. A name could inspire rebellion. A face could become hope. Because of this, royal prisoners were tightly controlled. They were moved from place to place so no one would know where they were held. Their names were removed from records. Paintings and statues were destroyed. Coins were melted down. The goal was not just to imprison the person, but to erase the idea they represented. Families suffered deeply during this time. Spouses were often separated and sent to different locations. Children were taken away for their safety. Though safety was never guaranteed, parents worried constantly about where their children were and who was raising them. Many never saw their families again. Children grew up without knowing if their parents were alive or dead. Love remained even when power disappeared, and that made captivity far more painful. Royal prisoners lived under constant watch. Guards observed them eating, sleeping, and walking. Windows were sometimes blocked or placed too high to see through. Writing tools were taken away to prevent messages from escaping. Every movement was noted. Every word could be reported. Prisoners learned to speak carefully or not at all. Silence became a shield. Fear never left. Royal prisoners understood that their situation could change at any moment. A protest in the streets, a rumor spreading among the people, or a change in leadership could turn safety into danger overnight. Because they were not criminals but political threats, their lives depended on public mood and political needs. This uncertainty followed them every day. At first, many fallen rulers believed their captivity would be short. They trusted allies to rescue them. They believed the people would miss them. They expected history to correct itself. Days turned into months. Months turned into years. Slowly, hope faded. Some prisoners stopped asking questions. Some stopped planning for the future. They focused only on surviving one more day. This quiet breaking of hope was often more effective than force. A prisoner without hope was no longer a threat. They became invisible. History rarely focuses on these long, silent years. It remembers revolutions, speeches, and battles. It forgets the locked rooms and waiting. Many royal prisoners died quietly in captivity. There were no crowds, no ceremonies, no final speeches. They passed away not as rulers, but as forgotten figures whose power had already vanished. Royal life once promised safety. Castles, guards, and armies created the illusion of protection. But overthrow exposed the truth. Power depends on belief. When belief disappears, power collapses. Gold cannot unlock prison doors. Titles cannot stop fear. Authority cannot protect a person once loyalty is gone. The story of royal prisoners is a warning repeated across history. Power does not guarantee safety. Crowns do not protect against isolation. Thrones do not stop fear. When authority falls, even kings and queens must face silence alone. In the end, power is temporary, and when it disappears, it leaves behind locked doors, quiet rooms, and the haunting truth that no throne lasts forever.